I'm just late because I had an election story done and then somebody decided to file at the last minute and I had to go add to it. Really? Yeah, I went for free and free. Yeah.
We'll sit by this time.
Adjust my head so the glare on the clock isn't too bad. Okay, welcome everyone to the North Platte City Council meeting on January 18th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. held here in the City Council chambers. I am calling the meeting to order. First, we have an invocation by Pastor Fahrenbrook, excuse me.
This is who that is. We have a substitute.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Apparently, our pastor is busy, and so I'll fill in if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Dear Father, we thank you for this time together to make decisions about the issues of the community. Thank you for this great country, this great state of Nebraska and the city of North Platte. All these great people we're thankful for that are up here volunteering their time to take care of these issues, and we just thank you for that. Thank you for this great free country and your Constitution that you supported. I just thank you for all that, and we ask your give your wisdom to these folks as they make decisions, and we appreciate your help in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Angie, roll call, please.
Nestle,
Here.
Tryon,
Here.
Bowles,
Here.
Lucas,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Carmen,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Woods.
Here.
Open Meeting Act. A current copy of the Open Meeting Act of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure. The public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself, by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit your remarks. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. It's always exciting when we have an award or an accolade, and tonight we have an award. And it's going to be presented by Miss Becca, and I apologize, I did not write this very clearly. Is it Noomville?
It is Miller, yes.
Okay, please come forward to the microphone. And the award is being presented to, can I say the name? Okay, to one of our very fine officers, Mr. Matthew, oh boy, Prell, okay. You have the floor.
I had to ask too, so. So good evening. So a real short history on where we got where we are. Last year, the Leora M. and Harry B. Helmsley Charitable Trust awarded the state of Nebraska the Nebraska DHHS a $6.4 million grant to distribute over 2,500 AEDs in the back of first response law enforcement vehicles. Nebraska is one of 7 Helmsley states, including North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Minnesota, Iowa, and Montana. And to date, the Helmsley Charitable Trust has donated over $500 million to the state of Nebraska, or to these states. Sorry about that. They improve rural healthcare by funding innovative projects for the use of information technologies to connect rural patients to emergency medical care. They bring the latest medical therapies to patients in remote areas, and they also provide state-of-the-art training to rural hospital and EMS personnel. Out of that $500 million that went to all of those states, over 17 million of that has come to the state of Nebraska. So we're very happy to be a Helmsley state. The reason they decided to do the AEDs in the back of the law enforcement vehicles is when you look at the American Heart Association research, it shows a significantly higher rate of patient survival and cardiac arrest by those who are defibrillated by law enforcement. And in our state, they're just generally on scene first. Even though Nebraska is beautiful, it's pretty vast, and first responders have a long way to get to those calls. Every minute a patient in cardiac arrest is without that high-quality CPR or that early defibrillation, their survival rate goes down by 10%. So even an officer getting on scene a couple minutes before EMS has a significant improvement in survival, which is shown by Officer Perel. So North Platte is very lucky to have a dedicated police department who has chosen to go the extra mile to serve their community. And on behalf of DHHS, it is my pleasure, and I would like to congratulate Officer Perel for his life-saving efforts, and also the North Platte Police Department for the dedication in protecting their community. So I'd like to present Officer Perel. It's a very small token of appreciation, the certificate of appreciation, and also a challenge coin on behalf of the citizens in Nebraska. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll just do a quick speech. I want to thank the City of North Platte, Department of Health and Human Services, North Platte PD, and my family for coming tonight. Just lucky that I was in the area at the time. Lucky that we had those AEDs in the back of our cars, and I'm glad that I was able to help someone out that night. So, thank you.
Thank you. I need to ask your wife if she got all the pictures that she wanted of that. If not, you may have to pose later again. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for being here. That's nice. Okay, consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Number 1, approve minutes of January 4, 2022. Number 2, place on file treasurer's report for November 2021. Number 3, approve the application by Creativity and Limited Arts Council, DBA Prairie Arts Center, for a special designated license on February 12, 2022, from 4:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. at D&N Event Center, 501 East Walker Road, for a wedding reception. Number 4, approve request from Adams Bank and Trust, Equitable Bank, First National Bank, North Platte, First State Bank, Great Western Bank, Hershey State Bank, Nebraska Land Bank, Sandhill State Bank, Union Bank and Trust, Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., and Western Nebraska Bank to be designated as depository banks for city funds for 2022. Number 5, adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Our Redeemer Second Replat located at 1221 East E Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Carmen. Calling the question on the consent agenda. Consent agenda has passed. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to the regular agenda. Number 6. Second reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4080, enacting the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, Title 7, Section 71.12, and Charter 79 for the use of UTVs to be driven in the city limits of North Platte with restrictions. Terry, would you read the ordinance for us, please?
Sure. Ordinance number 4080, an ordinance of the City of North Platte, Nebraska, to enact Section 71.12 of the official city code to make reference to an exception related to operation of utility-type vehicles, to enact Section 79 of the official city code to prohibit the operation of all-terrain vehicles and allow the operation of utility-type vehicles on city streets, and setting forth the provision under which utility-type vehicles may be operated, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Thank you.
I move
Go ahead.
to adopt ordinance number 4080, enacting the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, Title 7, Section 71.12, and Chapter 79 for the use of UTVs to be driven in the city limits of North Platte with restrictions on second reading.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Reeker. Do we have any discussion on number 6? Seeing none, calling the question on number 6. Please vote. Number 6 is passed. Number 7, North Dewey Street. Remind everyone that this would be theoretically our first microTIF project. This is the first official application we've received under the microTIF program. Is that correct, Judy? I didn't lie to everyone, did I? Okay, that's good. Thank you. That is accurate. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a microTIF project for Dave and Tracy Hodson to construct 9 loft-style apartments as part of a historic building rehabilitation project.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Vols. Any discussion on item number 7? Ms. Tryon, you have the floor.
I would like for Judy or someone to explain the parking with this project,
Okay?
because I did visit with some people downtown about that.
Okay.
Mayor, council. Parking in the downtown area, this is zoned as a B3 downtown commercial district. There are no regulations that require on-site parking. So everything in the downtown area is street parking. There are a few city-owned parking lots in the area that would help with a little bit of the parking, but yeah, as far as requirements, there aren't any on-site in that zoning jurisdiction.
Keep going. You still have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the question is, and like I spoke with Mr. Hotzen, and I'll vote for this because I'm excited about him being the first applicant. However, if this becomes a common event down there, I think then the parking may be an issue. I did speak to a couple of merchants down there, and there could be some concern, especially at various times of the day that parking is an issue down there, so. Just wanted to let you know that. If there's any more that come, I may not vote for them because of that.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Judy before I let her sit down?
Mr.
Reeker,
Mayor,
you have the floor.
regarding the question that Councilwoman Troyan posed, what options do we have available for parking if, I mean, can we make restrictions on where they can park? Like in the city parking lot as opposed to on-street parking, or what options are available to maybe address that question or concern?
Judy or Brent, you want to take a crack at that one?
I don't know that, I mean, through zoning, there's no way of requiring them unless we do a total zone change in that area, which I don't think would be feasible because of the location of buildings. They build lot line to lot line in a B3 commercial district, so it would be very difficult to require parking. I think the only thing, and Brent can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only thing we can do is hope that the property owners are good neighbors and, you know, at least say, hey, look, don't be parking in front of the businesses during business hours. And I would hope that they would do that, but honestly, I don't think there's requirements that we can.
Mayor Kelleher, members of council, and Brent or Lane, maybe you can chime in. Isn't it the case that we have a 2-hour parking regulation most of downtown, and so they would have to find lots where overnight parking would be allowed?
Mr. Kibben, Mayor, Council, thanks. Good question and good. Thankfully, this is honestly, in the big picture, this is a good problem to have because we have downtown that's doing well as opposed to there's lots of parking because it's suffering. So that's the big picture, is thankful to have this discussion. The thing as far as lots, we went through a lot of the parking. If you remember, we went through the entire parking ordinance about a year ago, going through and trying to address different things. So downtown, you're correct. We have a 2-hour requirement. As far as we've had issues with business owners parking on the street and taking up spot. I mean, there's been complaints in that respect, you know, more than 2 hours. So it's not just potentially tenants, it could be people down in that area. So there's 2-hour on the 5th Street and then also on, you know, when we're going on Dewey itself. Those two are both 2-hour parking areas. We have a parking lot, a city-owned parking lot at 4th and Jeffers that allows some longer parking. The, if you want to call it the Alco parking lot, the Parkade Plaza, there's parking that allows, when you go closer to the building, there's some areas over there that you can park longer, like overnight. There's also north of the Pawnee, there's a city-owned lot over there. There's parts of that that are 2-hour and 4-hour. So there's some different things that can be looked at. And then also we added the parking lot where the Lincoln connection used to be, just on the east side of Jeffers. There's that parking lot over there. But as you'd mentioned, depending on the usage, that can be fluid. In the past, if you think of probably when the buildings were fully occupied up and down, we probably had more parking issues, you know, in the 50s and 60s. But it's something that we need to be aware of. And you know, we might have to flex or adjust depending on the use of the area. And because tenants have a different use than, you know, commercial, mercantile, so.
Mr. Mayor, regarding your comments there, Brent, it would seem that if 4 hours is the maximum, did I understand you correctly?
On some, there's different parts of different lots that have the time restrictions. The ones behind the Pawnee, there's a part that's 2 hours and there's a part that's 4. North on the Alco, if you want to call it the Alco, the Parkade Plaza, there's areas over there that are 4, 8, and allow overnight parking as well. So it kind of gets into depending on where you're at. And that might be something we'll have to look at based on the need. We might need to make some adjustments for some of the parking to allow, to help, because everybody wants to park close to their building. And it doesn't matter whether you're a tenant or a business. And So that's the tension we'll have to manage to try to make sure that everybody's accommodated. The challenge is this is all public space. So everybody has a right to park on those areas for that duration, regardless of what they're doing, whether they're living there or eating there. That's the balance we're trying to do.
But it would seem the only place that these folks that live in these apartments could legally park would be in the Parkade Plaza overnight.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, is that regulation enforced? Do we know? Because I was told, no, Chief left. I heard today that that wasn't necessarily enforced.
Mayor Keller, Councilwoman Tryon, currently, we aren't enforcing the parking regulations because we haven't had this overpopulation of tenants. And there likely will be some rehabilitation that occurs in the upstairs of downtown buildings, and we're going to have to take a look at changing the policing process when that occurs.
Okay, just so we address it if it becomes a problem.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lucas, you have the floor.
I just wanted to comment that I'm very excited about the application. I don't know if the applicants are in the room tonight, but when you think about the use of micro-TIF and the adoption of this program, I mean, you couldn't find a more perfect type project to have 9 housing units be developed in conjunction with this. 9 housing units is a really big deal. I mean, our community has less than 40 homes on the market today and not very many apartments open. I would just share with you on the parking issue, that is something I think we've got to keep our eye on. But I also think a lot of that will be people just adapting to what a more vibrant downtown is like. Like if you park at Walmart on a Sunday morning, you're going to park all the way at the end. And if you walk to the electronics department, it's a pretty long walk. Or if you shop in the mall and you go inside the mall, you're going to have a pretty long walk. And so on parking, I would tell you guys that the thing I'm probably the most attentive to is I'm not concerned about people able to walk, having to walk a little ways to get to their home or their business. That's their choice going down there. We should keep an eye on those 2 and 4 hour restrictions, but I'm particularly watching like senior and handicap parking. I think that's something we'll need to keep our eye on just to make sure the people that maybe can't walk as far have adequate parking downtown. It's something to keep our eye on. But I think sometimes we got used to our downtown being a place you could pull right up to the edge of a business. I'm kind of excited maybe our downtown won't be that way, and it's people will get used to walking 2 or 3 blocks, which is why we've really improved it with the lighting and the infrastructure downtown to hopefully they can enjoy that walk a little bit too.
Other comments or questions on number 7? Okay, here we go. First official vote. Calling the question on number 7. Number 7 has passed. Moving on to number 8. Authorize the mayor to negotiate and execute an agreement with Business Telecommunications, Inc.
Move to authorize the mayor to negotiate and execute an agreement with Business Telecommunications Systems Incorporated.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Lucas. Any discussion on number 8? Seeing none, calling the question on number 8. Number 8 is passed. Number 9, consider adopting ordinance number 4085, conveying real estate at 1300 Prospect Drive to Pat Clinch LLC. Terry, would you read the ordinance, please?
Certainly. An ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, authorizing the sale of the part of Lot 2, Block 1, Industrial Park, 6th replat, also known as 1300 Prospect Drive, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt ordinance number 4085 conveying real estate at 1300 Prospect Drive to Pat Clinch LLC on first reading.
Motion Reeker, second Carmen. Any discussion on number 9? Seeing none, calling the question on number 9. Number 9 has passed. Number 10, consider adopting ordinance number 4086, conveying real estate at 1320 Prospect Drive to Pat Clinch LLC. This sounds familiar to me. Sorry, couldn't resist. Terry, would you read the ordinance, please?
I will. An ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, authorizing the sale of the part of Lot 3, Block 1, Industrial Park 6th replat, also known as 1320 Prospect Drive, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4086 conveying real estate at 1320 Prospect Drive to Pat Clinch LLC on first reading.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Vols. Any discussion on number 10?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment that I'm excited to see this type of development taking place. This is wonderful. Plus, the city's getting rid of some government ground.
Yes, we are. Other comments or questions? Seeing none, calling the question on number 10. Ten has passed. Now we have a public hearing. Public hearing is on the subject of adopting the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map, amending certain lands from commercial to residential on property located at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street. This is a public hearing. The public hearing is now open. If you've got any questions or comments on this subject, please approach the microphone and let us know what your thoughts are. I always wait 15 seconds when no one moves, so. Okay, we've had our 15 seconds.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing by Reeker, second by Vols. Calling the question and closing the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. The council will now consider adopting the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map, amending certain lands from commercial to residential on property located at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for an amendment to the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 Future Land Use Map to amend certain lands from commercial to residential on property located at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street as indicated on the attached map.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Lucas. Any discussion on number 11? Seeing none, calling the question on number 11. Number 11 has passed. We have another public hearing. This time, to consider action to adopt ordinance number 4084 to rezone certain land from an A1 transitional agricultural district to an R-1 dwelling district on property located at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street. Terry, would you please read the ordinance for us?
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 4084, an ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, rezoning certain lands described as Lot 3, Moline subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, from an A1 transitional agricultural district to an R1 dwelling district repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Thank you. Okay, we have an open public hearing, just like the last one. If anyone has any comments on this issue here at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street, please approach the microphone and let us know. And the clock is slightly blurring my,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion Vols, second Reeker to close the public hearing. Calling the question on closing the public hearing, please vote. Public hearing is now closed. Now the council will consider action to adopt ordinance number 4084 to rezone certain land from an A1 transitional agricultural district to an R-1 dwelling district on property located at 4321 and 4421 South Willow Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4084 to rezone certain land from an A1 transitional agricultural district to an R1 dwelling district on first reading.
Second.
Was that you, Mark? Were you the second?
Yeah.
Ed, okay, sorry, I wasn't looking over there. Motion Vols, second Reeker. Any discussion on item number 12? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 12. Please vote. Item number 12 is passed. Item number 13, approve claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the claims.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Vols, to approve the claims. Any discussion? Calling the question on approving the claims. Claims have been approved. Public agenda request. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. This is the section of our agenda where if anyone would like to request that the city consider something in the form of an agenda item in the future, if you would please approach the microphone, let us know what that is. We would be happy to consider it. It does not appear anyone in the audience has an agenda item at this point.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Reeker, second Vols. Calling the question on adjournment, please vote.
Oh, my
Meeting
hourly
is
rate
adjourned.
went
Thank you,
up.
everyone. Have a great evening. Stay warm. It's going to be cold outside.
That's right.
I talked to Matt about it separately, but I thought I'd better talk to the two of you.
Okay.
That place on North Pacific